The scorching Manila sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked concrete of the Tondo district, where 10-year-old Miguel Santos walked carefully through the narrow alleyways between makeshift houses. His feet, hardened by years of walking on rough surfaces, moved with practiced precision to avoid the sharpest stones and broken glass that littered the path. The soles of his feet bore the map of his poverty, calluses thick as leather, small scars from countless cuts, and the permanent stain of dust that no amount of washing could remove. Yet in his dark eyes burned a determination that seemed too mature for his young face, a fire that refused to be extinguished despite the harsh realities surrounding him. The smell of cooking rice mixed with the acrid smoke from burning garbage filled the air as Miguel made his way toward the community center where a special event was taking place. Word had spread through the slums like wildfire that Manny Pacquiao himself would be visiting their neighborhood, bringing gifts and hope to the children who had so little. Miguel clutched a crumpled piece of paper in his small hand, a drawing he had made of the boxing champion, created with a broken crayon he had found in the street. The artwork was simple but filled with admiration, showing Pacquiao with his gloves raised in victory, surrounded by the Philippine flag colors that Miguel had carefully shaded with whatever materials he could find. As he approached the center, Miguel could see the crowd growing larger, families gathering with their children in their best clothes, though for most, their best was still worn and patched. The excitement was palpable, children chattering in rapid Tagalog about their hero, who had risen from poverty just like theirs to become a world champion. Miguel positioned himself at the edge of the crowd, his bare feet shifting nervously on the hot pavement as he wondered if he would even get close enough to see the man who represented everything he dreamed of becoming. The weight of his circumstances pressed down on him, but the possibility of meeting his idol gave him strength to push forward through the sea of people. The community center, a simple concrete building with peeling paint and rusty metal roofing, had been decorated with colorful banners and balloons for the occasion. Local volunteers had worked tirelessly to make the space welcoming, stringing lights that would later illuminate the evening festivities and arranging plastic chairs in neat rows for the families. Miguel watched as other children ran around in their shoes, some new, some old, but all protecting their feet from the harsh ground that he knew so intimately. He unconsciously curled his toes, feeling the familiar sting of the hot concrete, but his focus remained fixed on the entrance where his hero would soon appear. The murmur of the crowd suddenly shifted to excited shouts as a black SUV pulled up to the center, its tinted windows reflecting the eager faces of the gathered community. Miguel felt his heart racing as he realized that inside that vehicle sat the man who had inspired him through countless nights when hunger kept him awake, when the sounds of his parents arguing about money echoed through their thin walls. This was more than just meeting a celebrity. This was encountering living proof that someone from his world, someone who understood the daily struggle for survival, could rise above it all and achieve greatness. As the car door began to open, Miguel gripped his drawing tighter, knowing that this moment would change something fundamental in his young life. The roar of the crowd reached a crescendo as Manny Pacquiao stepped out of the vehicle, his presence immediately commanding attention despite his modest stature. He wore a simple white polo shirt and dark jeans, his famous smile already spreading across his face as he waved to the gathered families. Miguel watched in awe as his hero moved with the same grace and confidence he had seen in boxing matches. But here, there was something different, a gentleness, a genuine warmth that seemed to embrace everyone present. The champion's eyes scanned the crowd with obvious affection, and Miguel could see that this was not just a publicity appearance, but a homecoming to the world that had shaped him into the man he had become. Manny Pacquiao moved through the crowd with the ease of someone who had never forgotten where he came from, his hands reaching out to touch shoulders, ruffle hair, and offer gentle words of encouragement to the children who pressed forward to meet him. His eyes, weathered by years of intense training and countless battles in the ring, softened as they fell upon each young face filled with hope and admiration. He paused frequently, kneeling down to speak with children at their eye level, his voice carrying the same humility that had endeared him to millions around the world. The champion understood that for these children, he represented more than athletic achievement. He was proof that their dreams were not impossible, that poverty was not a permanent sentence. As he made his way toward the community center, Pacquiao noticed the varying conditions of the children around him. Some wearing their Sunday best, while others, like Miguel, bore the unmistakable signs of extreme poverty. His trained eye, sharpened by his own childhood experiences, could identify the subtle markers, the way certain children held themselves, the careful movements that spoke of hunger, the bright intelligence shining through despite material lack. He had been that child once, walking these same types of streets, feeling the same burning desire to rise above circumstances that seemed insurmountable. Every interaction reminded him of his responsibility to give back to the community that had supported him from his earliest days. The champion carried with him not just his physical presence, but boxes of gifts that his team had carefully prepared for this visit. Shoes, school supplies, toys, and clothing that would make real differences in these children's lives. But Pacquiao knew that the most valuable gift he could offer was his time and attention. The message that someone who had achieved everything still remembered and cared about those still struggling. He moved deliberately through the crowd, making sure to acknowledge as many children as possible, understanding that a moment of recognition from him could fuel years of determination and hope in a young heart. Miguel watched from his position at the crowd's edge as Pacquiao interacted with other children, his nervousness growing as he wondered if he would have the courage to approach his hero. The drawing in his hand had become damp with perspiration, and he worried that his simple artwork would seem foolish compared to the elaborate gifts and signs that other children had prepared. Yet something in Pacquiao's demeanor, the genuine interest he showed in each child, the way he listened intently to their words, gave Miguel hope that perhaps his humble offering would be received with the same kindness being shown to everyone else. The champion's entourage, including his wife Jinky and several team members, followed at a respectful distance, allowing Pacquiao the space to connect authentically with the community. Jinky, elegant in her simple dress, smiled warmly at the families, her own eyes reflecting the pride she felt watching her husband in his element. She had witnessed countless such events over the years, but the genuine emotion on her husband's face never failed to move her. She understood that these visits were not obligations for Manny, but essential connections to the source of his strength and motivation. As the crowd began to move toward the center's entrance, Pacquiao paused to address the gathered families, his voice carrying clearly across the courtyard, despite the excited chatter of children. He spoke in Tagalog, his words simple but powerful, reminding everyone that success was not measured only in championships or money, but in the ability to lift others up along the way. Miguel strained to hear every word, each syllable reinforcing his belief that greatness was possible, even for a barefoot boy from the slums. The champion's message was clear. Every child present had the potential to change not only their own life, but the lives of others. And that responsibility was both a privilege and a calling. As the formal program began inside the community center, Miguel found himself still positioned near the back of the crowd, his small stature making it difficult to see over the adults and older children who had claimed the better viewing spots. The concrete floor felt cool against his bare feet after the scorching heat of the outdoor pavement, and he shifted his weight nervously as he listened to the speeches and presentations honoring Pacquiao's visit. The drawing in his hand had become his anchor, a tangible representation of his admiration and hope, though he was beginning to doubt whether he would have the opportunity to present it to his hero. The program proceeded with local officials offering words of gratitude, children performing traditional Filipino dances, and community leaders sharing stories of how Pacquiao's success had inspired positive changes in their neighborhood. Miguel absorbed every moment, his young mind cataloging the details of this historic day when his idol had come to his world. He noticed how Pacquiao listened attentively to each speaker, his posture respectful and engaged, never showing any sign of impatience or distraction despite the lengthy proceedings. This attention to others, this genuine respect for every person regardless of their status, impressed Miguel as much as any boxing victory he had witnessed. As the formal presentations concluded and the gift distribution began, Miguel watched as children were called forward to receive shoes, school supplies, and other necessities from Pacquiao's hands. Each interaction was brief but meaningful, with the champion taking a moment to speak personally with every child, asking their names, their ages, their dreams for the future. Miguel's heart raced as he realized that his turn might actually come, that he might have the chance to meet the man who had inspired him through so many difficult nights when hope seemed as distant as the stars. When the organized distribution ended, Pacquiao surprised everyone by announcing that he wanted to walk through the crowd personally, to meet any children who had not yet had the chance to approach him. The champion's security team looked slightly concerned, but they respected his wishes, forming a loose perimeter that allowed him freedom to move while ensuring his safety. Miguel felt a surge of excitement mixed with terror as he realized that his hero was now moving directly through the section where he stood, greeting children individually and taking time to truly see each young face. As Pacquiao drew closer, Miguel's nervousness intensified, his hands trembling slightly as he held his drawing. He could see the champion's face clearly now, noting the kindness in his eyes, the genuine smile that never seemed forced or artificial. When Pacquiao was just a few feet away, speaking with another child, Miguel summoned every ounce of courage he possessed and stepped forward slightly, his bare feet silent on the concrete floor. The movement caught Pacquiao's attention, and their eyes met for the first time. The world champion and the barefoot boy connected across the vast differences in their circumstances by a shared understanding of struggle and dreams. Pacquiao's gaze immediately dropped to Miguel's feet, and something shifted in his expression, a recognition, a memory, perhaps a flashback to his own childhood when shoes were a luxury beyond reach. The champion approached Miguel with deliberate steps, his full attention now focused on this young boy, who stood with such dignity despite his obvious poverty. Miguel felt the weight of that attention, the incredible experience of being truly seen by someone he had admired from afar for so long. In that moment, the noise of the crowd seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them in a bubble of connection that transcended their different worlds. Pacquiao knelt down to Miguel's eye level, his movement graceful and natural, bringing himself into the boy's world rather than forcing the child to reach up to his. The champion's eyes, warm and understanding, took in every detail of Miguel's appearance, the carefully combed hair, the clean but worn clothes, the proud posture that spoke of inner strength despite material lack. When Pacquiao's gaze returned to Miguel's bare feet, the boy saw something flicker across the champion's face, a shadow of memory that spoke of shared experience and deep understanding. Miguel felt no shame under that gaze, only recognition, as if he were looking into the eyes of someone who truly knew his journey. Miguel's voice trembled slightly as he extended his drawing toward Pacquiao, his words coming out in a rush of nervous Tagalog as he explained that he had made this picture because the champion was his hero, his inspiration, his proof that dreams could come true. Pacquiao accepted the artwork with the same reverence he might show a championship belt, his fingers careful not to damage the fragile paper as he studied the simple but heartfelt depiction of himself. The champion's smile grew wider as he took in the details, the carefully drawn gloves, the Philippine flag colors, the obvious time and care that had gone into creating this gift from whatever materials the boy could find. The champion praised Miguel's artwork genuinely, pointing out specific details that showed the boy's attention and skill, making Miguel feel like a true artist rather than just a poor child with a broken crayon. Pacquiao asked Miguel about his dreams, his school, his family, listening intently to each answer as if the boy's words were the most important thing in the world. Miguel found himself opening up, sharing his love of drawing, his dreams of someday helping his family escape poverty, his belief that education and hard work could change everything. The champion nodded at each revelation, his expression showing that he understood not just the words but the hopes and fears behind them. As their conversation continued, Pacquiao noticed other children gathering around, drawn by the obvious connection between the champion and Miguel. Rather than being annoyed by the interruption, Pacquiao used the moment to include Miguel in a larger circle, introducing him to the other children as a talented artist and asking him to tell them about his drawing. Miguel felt a surge of pride and confidence as he explained his artwork to his peers, Pacquiao's encouragement giving him a voice he had never known he possessed. The champion watched with obvious satisfaction as Miguel transformed from a shy, nervous boy into a confident young person sharing his passion with others. Then, in a moment that would be etched into Miguel's memory forever, Pacquiao began removing his own shoes, expensive athletic sneakers that probably cost more than Miguel's family earned in several months. The champion's movements were deliberate and purposeful, his eyes never leaving Miguel's face as he performed this simple but profound act. The crowd around them fell silent, sensing that they were witnessing something extraordinary, something that went far beyond a typical celebrity appearance. Miguel's eyes widened in disbelief as he realized what was happening, his young mind struggling to process that his hero was about to give him the shoes from his own feet. Pacquiao held out the shoes to Miguel, his voice gentle but firm as he explained that every champion needed the right equipment to pursue their dreams, and that these shoes would carry Miguel toward whatever future he chose to create. The champion's words were simple but powerful, emphasizing that the shoes were not charity, but an investment in Miguel's potential, a belief in his ability to achieve greatness. As Miguel accepted the shoes with trembling hands, Pacquiao placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder, telling him that someday, when he had achieved his own success, he should remember to help another child who needed encouragement. The weight of that responsibility, that trust, settled on Miguel's young shoulders like a mantle of purpose that would guide him for years to come. Miguel walked home that evening with Pacquiao's shoes carefully cradled in his arms, too precious to wear on the rough streets that might damage them. The weight of the gift was nothing compared to the weight of the champion's words, which echoed in his mind with each step toward his family's small dwelling in the heart of Tondo. The shoes represented more than footwear. They were a symbol of belief, a tangible reminder that someone who had achieved everything still saw potential in a barefoot boy from the slums. Miguel's parents, Luz and Roberto, listened in amazement as their son recounted every detail of his encounter with the boxing legend, their own eyes filling with tears as they realized the profound impact this moment would have on their child's future. The shoes found a place of honor in their tiny home, carefully wrapped and stored where they would be safe from the dust and chaos of daily life in the overcrowded neighborhood. Miguel would take them out each evening, cleaning them meticulously and trying them on, feeling the quality of the materials and imagining the places they might take him. His mother watched these rituals with a mixture of joy and concern, understanding that her son had been given more than shoes. He had been given a vision of possibility that would either inspire him to greatness or break his heart if he could not achieve it. She prayed each night that her boy would have the strength to carry the weight of such dreams. At school, Miguel's encounter with Pacquiao became legendary among his classmates. But rather than boasting about the gift, he found himself talking more about the champion's words, his kindness, his genuine interest in Miguel's dreams and aspirations. The boy began to see his education differently, understanding that every lesson learned, every skill developed, was a step toward the future that Pacquiao had encouraged him to envision. His teachers noticed the change immediately. Miguel's attention in class became laser-focused, his homework completed with new dedication, his participation in discussions more confident and thoughtful. The drawing that Pacquiao had praised so highly became the catalyst for Miguel's artistic development, inspiring him to seek out every opportunity to improve his skills. He collected discarded paper from offices and shops, gathered broken crayons and pencil stubs from wherever he could find them, and spent hours practicing his technique. Local shop owners, hearing about his encounter with the champion, began saving art supplies for him. A torn sketchbook here, a dried-out marker there, small contributions that felt enormous to a boy who had learned to create beauty from nothing. Miguel's transformation extended beyond academics and art to his relationships with other children in the neighborhood. He began organizing informal art classes, teaching younger children the techniques he was learning, sharing his materials freely despite their scarcity. The confidence that Pacquiao had instilled in him during their brief encounter began to radiate outward, inspiring other children to pursue their own dreams with greater determination. Miguel found himself becoming a leader among his peers, not through dominance but through encouragement, embodying the same spirit of lifting others up that he had witnessed in his hero. As months passed, Miguel's reputation as both an artist and a positive influence in the community began to grow beyond his immediate neighborhood. Local community centers started inviting him to display his artwork, and his pieces, still created with humble materials but showing remarkable improvement, began to attract attention from visitors and volunteers who worked in the area. Each small recognition reinforced the lesson that Pacquiao had taught him, that talent and determination could overcome any material limitation. That success was not about where you started, but about how far you were willing to travel toward your dreams. Years flowed by like the muddy waters of the Pasig River, carrying Miguel through the challenges and triumphs of adolescence, while the memory of his encounter with Pacquiao remained a constant source of strength and direction. The shoes, now carefully preserved as a sacred reminder rather than worn, had been joined by certificates of academic achievement, art competition ribbons, and scholarship letters that documented Miguel's steady progress toward the future his hero had encouraged him to envision. His small bedroom had transformed into a gallery of his artistic evolution, with drawings and paintings covering every available wall space, each piece showing greater skill and confidence than the last. Miguel's academic performance had earned him a scholarship to a prestigious high school in Manila, requiring a daily commute that took him far from the familiar streets of Tondo into a world of privilege and opportunity that once seemed as distant as the moon. The contrast was stark and sometimes painful. Classmates who complained about designer shoes, while Miguel still treasured the single pair given to him by a champion. Students who took for granted resources that Miguel had learned to create from nothing. Yet rather than feeling intimidated or resentful, Miguel used these differences as motivation, understanding that his unique perspective and hard-earned resilience were advantages that no amount of money could purchase. His art teacher, Mrs. Carmen Reyes, recognized Miguel's exceptional talent early in his high school career and became a mentor who helped him navigate the complex world of formal art education. She introduced him to techniques and materials he had never imagined, but more importantly, she helped him understand that his humble beginnings were not obstacles to overcome, but strengths to embrace. Under her guidance, Miguel's work began to reflect the authentic experiences of his community, creating powerful pieces that spoke to the dignity and dreams of people living in poverty. His paintings captured the beauty he had always seen in his neighborhood, the resilience of families, the joy of children playing in the streets, the quiet heroism of daily survival. The teenager began to understand that his encounter with Pacquiao had been more than a chance meeting. It had been a calling to use his gifts in service of others. Miguel started volunteering at community centers in Tondo, teaching art classes to children who reminded him of his younger self. He watched their faces light up as they discovered their own creative abilities, and he remembered the feeling of being truly seen and believed in by someone who mattered. These teaching experiences reinforced his growing conviction that success was meaningless unless it was shared, that the true measure of achievement was not personal gain, but positive impact on others. As Miguel approached graduation, his portfolio had grown into a powerful collection that told the story of his community with honesty, beauty, and hope. Art schools and universities began to take notice, offering scholarships and opportunities that would have seemed impossible to the barefoot boy who had once stood nervously at the edge of a crowd. Yet with each opportunity came the memory of Pacquiao's words about remembering to help others, and Miguel found himself evaluating every choice through the lens of how it would enable him to give back to the community that had shaped him. His parents, Luz and Roberto, watched their son's transformation with pride and amazement, understanding that the shoes Pacquiao had given him had indeed carried him toward a future they had hardly dared to imagine. They saw in Miguel not just their successful son, but a bridge between worlds, someone who could navigate privilege while never forgetting his roots. The boy who had once walked barefoot through the streets of Tondo was becoming a young man with the power to change lives, and they knew that the champion who had believed in him would be proud of the person he was becoming. Miguel Santos stood before the mirror in his small apartment near the University of the Philippines, adjusting the collar of his crisp white shirt as he prepared for what would be the most important presentation of his young life. At 20 years old, he had completed his degree in fine arts with highest honors, while simultaneously earning a certificate in community development, his academic achievements opening doors to opportunities that once seemed as distant as the stars. The walls of his apartment were covered with his latest artwork, powerful pieces that had been featured in galleries across Manila, each painting telling stories of hope, resilience, and transformation that resonated with viewers from all walks of life. The presentation he was preparing for would introduce his ambitious project to a panel of investors, community leaders, and government officials who had the power to turn his vision into reality. Miguel had spent months developing a comprehensive plan for a mobile art education program that would bring supplies, instruction, and inspiration directly to the poorest communities throughout the Philippines. The program would be staffed by volunteer artists and funded through a combination of private donations, corporate sponsorships, and government grants, creating a sustainable model that could expand across the entire archipelago. As he gathered his materials for the presentation, Miguel's eyes fell upon a small glass case that held Pacquiao's shoes, still perfectly preserved after all these years. The sight of them brought back the flood of memories from that transformative day, the champion's kind eyes, his gentle words of encouragement, his belief in a barefoot boy's potential. Miguel had never worn the shoes, understanding instinctively that their value lay not in their practical use, but in their symbolic power, their reminder of the responsibility that came with being believed in by someone who mattered. The presentation venue was a modern conference room in one of Manila's gleaming business districts, a world away from the dusty streets of Tondo, where Miguel's journey had begun. As he set up his display boards and arranged his portfolio, Miguel felt the familiar mixture of nervousness and determination that had carried him through every challenge since that day he met his hero. The room gradually filled with influential people, businessmen in expensive suits, government officials with serious expressions, philanthropists known for their charitable work, all gathered to hear what this young man from the slums had to propose. Miguel began his presentation with a painting he had created of his own neighborhood, a vibrant depiction of children playing in the streets that captured both the harsh realities and the irrepressible joy of life in poverty. He spoke about his own journey, his voice steady and confident, as he described the transformative power of art education, the way creative expression could build confidence, develop critical thinking skills, and open pathways to opportunities that might otherwise remain hidden. His audience listened with growing interest as he outlined the specific components of his program: mobile studios equipped with supplies, trained instructors who understood the communities they would serve, partnerships with local schools and community centers. The heart of Miguel's presentation was his financial model, carefully researched and developed with the help of his university professors and community development mentors. He demonstrated how the program could be launched with an initial investment of 2 million pesos, with ongoing operational costs covered through a combination of corporate partnerships, individual donations, and modest fees from communities that could afford to contribute. The beauty of the model was its scalability. Starting with a single mobile unit serving the Manila area, the program could expand to cover the entire country within 5 years, reaching hundreds of thousands of children who had never had access to formal art education. The response to Miguel's presentation exceeded his most optimistic expectations, with several investors immediately expressing interest in funding the pilot program and government officials offering to facilitate partnerships with public schools throughout Metro Manila. Within 6 months, the first mobile art studio was rolling through the streets of Tondo, its bright colors and cheerful music announcing the arrival of opportunities that had never before existed in these forgotten corners of the city. Miguel rode along on that first day, his heart pounding with excitement and nervousness as he watched children emerge from their homes, their eyes wide with curiosity about the magical vehicle that had appeared in their neighborhood. The program tartan, which Miguel had named Brushes of Hope, it quickly became a phenomenon that captured the attention of media outlets across the Philippines and eventually around the world. News stories featured before and after photos of children's artwork, interviews with parents who spoke about their children's increased confidence and academic performance, and testimonials from teachers who had witnessed remarkable transformations in students who participated in the program. Miguel found himself becoming a public figure, invited to speak at conferences and universities about the power of art education to break cycles of poverty and create pathways to success. As the program expanded to include 10 mobile units serving communities across Luzon, Miguel never forgot the lesson that Pacquiao had taught him about the responsibility that came with success. He established a scholarship fund for young artists from impoverished backgrounds, created mentorship programs that paired successful artists with emerging talents, and developed partnerships with international organizations that brought global attention to the artistic potential hidden in the Philippines' poorest communities. Every decision was guided by the principle that success was meaningless unless it was shared, that true champions were measured not by their personal achievements, but by their ability to lift others up. The day that Miguel had dreamed of for years finally arrived when he received word that Manny Pacquiao himself had heard about the Brushes of Hope program and wanted to meet with its founder. The reunion took place at the same community center in Tondo, where their paths had first crossed, now transformed into a permanent art education facility that served as the program's headquarters. Miguel waited nervously in the same courtyard where he had once stood as a barefoot boy. But now he wore a suit tailored for success and shoes that he had purchased with money earned through his own achievements. When Pacquiao arrived, the years seemed to melt away as the champion's eyes immediately recognized the young man who had once offered him a simple drawing created with a broken crayon. The boxing legend's smile was as warm and genuine as Miguel remembered, and his first words were a question about whether Miguel still had the shoes he had given him so many years ago. Miguel led Pacquiao inside to see the glass case where the shoes were displayed alongside photos, documenting the growth of the Brushes of Hope program, explaining how those shoes had carried him not just physically but spiritually toward the future they had discussed in their brief but transformative encounter. Pacquiao listened with obvious pride as Miguel described the thousands of children who had been touched by the program, the young artists who had received scholarships to prestigious schools, the communities that had been transformed by the presence of creative opportunities. The champion's eyes filled with tears as he realized that his simple act of kindness had multiplied exponentially, creating ripples of positive change that would continue expanding for generations to come. He spoke about his own journey, acknowledging that meeting Miguel had reminded him of his own responsibility to use his platform for more than personal gain, inspiring him to expand his own charitable efforts in ways that had touched millions of lives. As their reunion concluded, Pacquiao presented Miguel with a new pair of shoes, not as a gift to someone in need, but as a symbol of respect between two champions who had chosen to use their success in service of others. Miguel accepted them with the same reverence he had shown as a child, understanding that they represented not an ending, but a new beginning, a reminder that the work of lifting others up was never finished. The two men embraced, their connection transcending the differences in their achievements, united by their shared commitment to ensuring that no child's dreams would be limited by the circumstances of their birth. In that moment, the barefoot boy's journey had come full circle, transformed from recipient to giver, from dreamer to dream maker, carrying forward the legacy of a champion who had understood that true greatness was measured not in victories won, but in lives changed. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to our channel.